Oh, good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry to give the hook to Patty McGuire. That's a first. Thank you all for being here. Voting rights are incredibly important, and probably never more now that we see how our political process is going. And I think you would agree with me that voting is a right. It's not a privilege. And if we look back in history as to how we've treated the right to vote, we can just go back to the Civil War and the Reconstruction Amendments, and we know what happened then. Right after they were passed, giving African Americans the right to vote, there was immediately work done to deprive African Americans the right to vote. And it's been enormously successful. We see that today with the number of African Americans who are imprisoned versus whites, for example, for the same crime and for longer periods of time. And there are still states today that permanently deprive someone of the right to vote when they have been convicted of a felony. Well, we changed that in Washington 10 years ago, and now we're building on that work with my bill this year that I very much hope you will support, 6228. It might be up there. There it is. This has been a very, very well-worked bill. I've spent countless hours with stakeholders from not just here in the state, but across the country working on this issue. And we only have to look to Florida and what's happening there right now. We saw that by citizen initiative, they restored the right to vote to felons in Florida, but their Supreme Court just recently said, you know what, you still have to pay the fines before you get the right to vote back. And that is nothing more than an illegal poll tax, in my opinion, which is why my bill does not include that. So what my bill does, quite simply, is it gives a very bright line test to the Department of Corrections and to the Secretary of State. If you are not in total confinement in prison, your right to vote has been restored. Now, last year we had Senator Dinger's bill that allows for immediate re-registration upon leaving prison. So we put that piece in place. With this component, we're going to allow those folks who are on community custody to re-enter community a little easier. And we know from some studies that there is a correlation between successful re-entry from those leaving incarceration and restoring the right to vote. They now have a voice in their democracy. And when I was out in New York this last year, on 9/11 of all times, all dates, I was at a criminal justice reform symposium that was devoted to the restoration of voting rights. And I was on a panel with 3 formerly incarcerated folks, and I can tell you, they know that this is an important step, but they know it's not the last step. And right now, we have 2 states that have never taken away the right to vote for those who are in prison. That's Maine and Vermont. They've never taken it away. And we can do that here, but first we need to lay the foundation and restore it to those who are on community custody. So tomorrow is a very big day. We have a lot of folks coming to testify on the bill. We know that this bill it's a vital step to correcting a historical injustice. And as a discrimination attorney, I can tell you that taking away someone's right to vote when I know it has nothing to do with the commission of a crime or deterring someone from committing a crime. I mean, I just want you to think for a minute. Did you ever hear anyone say, I'm going to rob that bank, except they might take my right to vote away? I mean, no one thinks like that. That is not what they think about when they're planning to commit a crime. And so I think we need to think rationally about what the impact of that is, and what it has done is change the landscape across the country in terms of whether we're a blue state or a red state or whatever kind of state. It has definitely impacted the ability to have a voice in our democracy. I believe very strongly in this bill. I am in this for the long haul, and I hope you're with me. And with that, I'm going to get back to my committee meeting, but thank you so much for all the work you do.
How about one question, but make your question short. It's not a debate, it's not a discussion, just what, when, how, why, where. If anyone has a question, it's not that scared.
Hi, I'm John here with the Thurston League and Fairmount, Washington. Wondering who is the opposition, if any, to your bill?
You know, I don't know that I can call the Secretary of State the opposition, but I will say that she hasn't come out in favor of the bill. They will be signing in other. And I'm not, I think in terms of encouraging the right to vote or restoring the right to vote, once you've paid your price, but you've been in prison, and we say that the time is right for you to now not be in total confinement anymore, I don't know why one wouldn't want to support restoration of the right to vote. I think it goes back to, you know, the 1990s when we had that tough on crime movement. I'm a former prosecutor. I can tell you what that was, and I was prosecuting at that time. That was stupid on crime. That's what that was. That was a waste of money, and it was, more importantly, a waste of lives. And it has really put a mark on people's backs. So if you want to send a little email to her and just say, we'd love to have you sign in pro. Don't tell her I said that. My 100 witnesses here, don't tell her I said anything. Anyway, no, she has been an advocate for, for expanding access to voting. But I just have to give a tip of the hat to Senator Sam Hunt, who's been a very staunch supporter of this all along. And he and I, we both chair and vice chair. He chairs, I vice chair the State Government Committee, and he's a dream to work with. So, all right. Thank you very much.
We just have a little gift. Oh, Democracy Watch 2020.
I love this. I promise not to throw it at anyone.
Only necessary.